Legal seals, totally random.
Hello, I'm Franz, this is Andy.
Hello.
This is Totally Random, your periodic show about concrete5. It is November 15th?
It is the
15th and, of 2013. And we're here with a pretty lightweight, underprepared show.
It's nimble.
Nimble. We seem to jump
show.
between overprepared and underprepared on these, so today we're going a little laissez-faire. So I'm just going to blast through it. News? We didn't prepare any news. I'm sure things have happened that are very exciting and interesting, but they're just gonna have to wait till next week. Karma? We could do the machine.
On that machine.
Open it up.
Get that going here.
I don't even need an intro.
And now, for the weekly winners. Come on down.
Alright, so if you don't know, now you know. We've gamified the excitement of an open source project. You can get points for doing things in concrete5. You promote the project, you get a fancy little referral URL underneath the Karma page. I think What is Karma gives it to you. You get points for that. You don't have to click on it. You help people in the forum. Someone marks your answer as the best answer. You get points for that too. You submit stuff in Git or work in the PRB or whatever, you're doing work, you get points for that as well. They all add up, and at the end of the week, someone from each of those three categories wins a free add-on and theme. Matt, who are our winners this week?
We have Adajad getting a copy of the ABC Canvas Gallery for helping out in the forums.
Nice.
Patrick Cassidy gets a copy of the Loku Restaurant Menu add-on for promoting concrete5.
Excellent.
And Leal won a copy of the Pro Forms Powerful Extendable Forms add-on for doing work.
Excellent. Well, thank you to all three of you and everybody else that contributed in any way, or even just used concrete5 and had a good day about it, said something nice on Twitter or not, whatever.
It's appreciated.
It's appreciated. Thank you. It's cool to be part of something that is much bigger than us, so we thank you. I think we're sticker free this week, right?
That's right.
Sticker free.
Let's just skip over it. We won't even bother with my nonsense about addresses.
Oh God, thank God.
All right. What do we do next? I think it's time to check in with Greg Joyce.
Introducing Great Choice by Greg Joyce.
Greg, what kind of choice are you looking at this week?
Home gardening, but this is a dangerous and deadly choice.
Oh,
This is,
man.
Yeah, in our Fatsia japonica, we noticed a little mushroom popping up, and it turns out that this is actually a destroying angel mushroom.
What?
Wow.
If you eat as little as half a cap of this mushroom, you'll start experiencing symptoms between 5 and 24 hours from then.
You start spinning
it's-
around
no,
and
it's-
enjoying
it's
bad
all-
music.
No, it's already too late by then. Your kidney and liver will shut down. And then
Whoa.
you basically fill up with bad juices after that.
Oh, that looks pretty intense.
But
Man.
it's pretty cool.
It looks awfully similar to a very edible mushroom.
Yeah.
Don't eat mushrooms, kids.
Yeah.
Out of your pots.
Yeah.
You know, eat them in the grocery store.
Yeah.
They're delicious there. All right, well, I'm glad you didn't make that choice, Greg Joyce.
All right,
What else?
got some PRB stuff coming up.
Woohoo!
It looks like we have right here another gallery add-on, and this one is called the Smackbox Gallery, and it is developed by Lissy93.
Nice.
And you get a nice grid of images like that, and when you click on one of those, they go all full screen, and it may have some sort of responsiveness jazz to it. So yeah, it's a nice little gallery, another option for people.
Sweet.
This one up is Gallery ES from Amiri, and this one actually gives you 5 different gallery styles, and it has a nice little picture management interface in your dashboard included.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's a very full-featured gallery. Next up is a theme from TubeLing called Bold Elegant. And you see it's a responsive theme there and looks pretty good.
Nice. Bold and elegant.
Yeah.
And next up is Minima from Vidal.
That's
And
nice.
this is a pretty nice looking theme, I think. He's
thought that's
got
a
some
man
good
well.
font choices. Looks like he's using some sort of
that's
possibly
nice.
like a font replacing icon system in there and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks like one that you could use for your
Just waiting for your
photos-
wedding, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
photo
looking
studio,
very
depressing
much-
wedding,
Yeah.
or,
Welcome to my hipster
even a
wedding.
restaurant. Yeah, could make good use of this theme.
Just a restaurant with tiny plates.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's awesome.
That was a good looking theme.
All right, next up we have website screenshots from Smart Designs. And Smart Designs did not include any sort of actual good...
No screenshots of his
No
screenshots.
compelling... Yeah, no compelling...
Smart design.
Compelling
Come on, man.
screenshots for your screenshots, just interface screenshots, so you get stock screenshots.
Good lord.
All right,
All right.
It takes a screenshot of your website.
it does.
I see how meta that would be and
Yeah.
how challenging it would be.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You can somehow visually, state the case for installing his add-on. But yeah, it does install it takes a screenshot of websites so you can present them on your own site.
Okay.
For your
Cool.
portfolio or something.
Yeah,
Right,
usually you have to use some
exactly.
type of service for that
Yeah.
sticks their watermark on there.
Exactly.
So that's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we
this
use
is
that on our
cool.
own site. Yeah.
Next one up is the street theme,
Looks
and this
nice.
is from Dave 80.
Small.
And this is kind of he took some good screenshots for this one actually. So these look pretty good in the dashboard interface.
Oh, that's smart. They are
Yeah.
cropped clearly
I
for
see.
that.
I see.
footprint.
So, but yeah, this is a pretty nice, modern looking theme right there.
That
Yeah.
looks like it's got some style to it.
It's a theme for the streets. All right. Next up, we have Roni D icons, and this is a add-on that basically presents the font awesome icons in a nicely laid out button system like this.
Cool.
And that's all we've got since the last Totally Random.
Pretty solid
Sweet.
list.
Yeah.
Good work.
Anybody that's listening right now,
Yes.
Uh-oh.
if you feel that you have an add-on that has been ignored, just send me a private message. I will look at it.
Greg Joyce
Greg Joyce.
wants to look at your app.
PRB master.
All right. Well, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
See you guys.
See you. No, I'm staying. Yes, I think that we're ready to do some get and get.
Yeah.
What did we get and get?
All right, Andy. I know a bunch of stuff has been put in for the 5.7. Lots of
Yes.
get issues that we're now adding and using, even for our own internal stuff. What did you want to show today?
Yeah, so this is an example of one of those. We are putting in things to Git as we notice them, and there's tons of stuff in terms of, making dashboard pages look pretty, that type of stuff. We haven't gotten all that stuff in there, but one of the issues that we made, and this is an example of us tasking our own internal people with using all these tools for ourselves as well as our community. And I asked Corvin if he could overhaul the drag and drop stuff in the edit mode JavaScript for 5.7. So just as background, we're adding this new panel interface. We're making block types draggable in from the side as opposed to adding from an overlay. It's a much more pleasant experience. But what we had been using was kind of a quick and dirty sort of proof of concept using jQuery UI's draggable and sortable libraries. And they worked, but they were pretty touchy, and it was hard to, and if they kind of interacted with each other in funny ways, it was tough to, they were kind of brittle. They broke pretty easily, and it was touchy, and that's not the experience that we wanted.
No.
So Corvin seemed up to the task of making that better, and he has done an excellent job, and I wanted to show some of that
Sweet.
off today. So
You're probably going to do the demo on that stuff?
I think
You've
so.
got some. All right, well, we'll get to that
Okay.
in a bit.
Yes.
Because once we move you all the way
Yeah,
over
that's
there
a
to
good
the
idea.
side
That's
of
a
the
good idea.
office.
So that's
we'll never
coming
see you
soon.
again. So we'll get to that
Yes.
in a few minutes. Beyond that, there's plenty of open issues.
Oh, yeah.
If you've got time and you want to contribute to 5.7, we
Yeah.
appreciate the help.
And one quick little thing, Git issues are nice, but they don't really organize tremendously well out of the box. So anytime anyone makes a pull request, whether it's against 5.7 or 5 or the master branch, it is going to add an issue for that, which is not terrible, but if it would probably be best at the moment if you don't make issues without pull requests that are meant to be 5.7 issues.
Wait, can you say that in a different order?
Yeah, I guess don't make your own issues. If you make
Keep your own issues to yourselves.
If you make pull requests, that's fine. If they're unsolicited for the master branch, we reserve the right to get to them when we can get to them. We are actively going through those and
best way to make that happen is
those.
to get other people to vote for it, to comment on them,
Yes.
show some activity there, and then Greg will, oh, we got to deal with this.
Yes, but if you can also now, since we've turned issues on, you can just make a free form issue. Anyone can.
Right.
We can't,
right.
And we are using the milestones to sort of segment the generic issues, which we're not really using, versus 5.7 issues, which we are using. And if you make issues, they just get lost because we haven't made them. We haven't moved them into the 5.7 milestone. And moreover, people can make issues, but they can't assign them to milestones unless they're administrators. So so they'll just get lost and they'll pollute the sort of global issue stream, and it's just going to be confusing. So, and when there's more than enough to get done at this point without adding to that pile.
Yeah.
And we are going to continue to add to that pile. And believe me, and pull requests that you add, please try and mention the issue that they interact with.
Relate to.
Yeah, and
That'll help.
5.7 related pull requests will get more weight than the sort of unsolicited master pull requests. But just there's a couple in there that we haven't. We're not going to be jerks about it, but it's probably best. It would keep things cleaner if we didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Issues. Showcase.
And now for the showcase session.
Who found this one? Someone sent this around to staff.
I don't know.
Someone bright in our shop found that this website right here is built with the concrete5. And, it's a website. It's attractive, and I'm sure it serves them very well. Gotta hope it serves them well. But what's super cool is this table is awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
Is there like a video somewhere in this thing?
Yeah,
I've seen a
somewhere.
video on YouTube before, but like this thing, you twist this table and it gets twice as large. It's
Whoa.
yeah, if you haven't seen this, it'll blow your mind. This is fine woodworking, my friend. Let's see, fire it up. Oh yeah, macro shots. I think if you take your cursor off of the video, we won't see the pause. There you go. And you see, you like twist it, and it gets small. Like things go up, things come out. The whole thing gets to be
cool.
like small breakfast table, and then you. See, I need my sound effects. I didn't know that came for free too. Right, and little pinches in there, hopefully not getting your finger.
Yeah.
And then you can rut-row. Someone's calling. And then you twist it the other way, and it gets like. Now it seats 10. It like.
Whoa.
Yeah, this video sucks. Come on, guys, it's all so macro. Can we please see it zoomed out? Yeah, well, it's cool. Flesh your tables. There it goes, all zoop, sucking it. Very interesting. Someone doing things out of wood. I have a personal affinity for that. But yeah, high quality product and a high quality website to go with it. It's pretty decent.
Yeah,
Oh,
solid.
Thanks.
Solid.
There you go. There's your showcase showdown. Where are we at? We did all that. We did all that.
Demo time?
I think we're into how would we do it with some chats and a demo. So let's open up the how would we do it box and we'll.
How would we do that? Good sir.
Alrighty, so number of things to talk about, and then we've got some stuff to show off. So BBang89 is running a Reddit subreddit spot on Reddit for us.
concrete5
Oh, there we
Reddit.
are. Here we are, floating on top of Reddit. One of these. All right, so he has very thoughtfully put together some stuff that both from our own community and from Reddit that kind of the the murmurs that are happening, what
Yeah.
things we should discuss. So, going down the list of things that we should discuss according to Reddit. There is a thread about splitting some of the features in 5.7 into a 5.6.3 release.
Yes.
The idea goes, well, look, there's all this interface redesign stuff, and then there's a bunch of stuff under the hood. So why don't you do the under the hood stuff first, get the bugs figured out, and then gives you more time to deal with the interface stuff as you go. And that's actually a pretty wise idea in the abstract.
Yeah.
I am 100% for interim step.
Yeah, sometimes you have to ship.
Sometimes you have to ship. We are big fans of understanding the underlying goal and being able to kind of redefine the measure of success to be achievable as you go. That is a reasonable way to do things and gets you a product that works. So much so that we actually have a server called interimstep.com. That being said, I don't see a tremendous opportunity to win that way with what's in 5.7.
Yeah.
While it does look like a massive sea change, and there's a lot of stuff going on underneath the hood, it's all rather independent, and things that you might just blob off as, well, that's not an interface, that's a functional change, are actually very dependent on the interface. The gathering block works with the new in-page editing mode and will eventually let you make pages following the new page type changes. Redactor, which is another thing we're going to get to talk about here next, is swapping out the content header, yes, but it works in the page and it's dependent on the UI changes.
Yeah.
There is also, I posit, not a lot, well, we are changing a lot of we're cleaning up code, changing a lot of libraries in the way we're dealing with stuff. Generally, it's around page types and that process. It's not like we're introducing a brand new permissions model. It's going to be tremendously difficult to upgrade from.
Yeah.
Not that there aren't very deep changes happening, but they're not purely functional on their own in such a way that it would be easy to shave them out, put them in 5.6.3 and call it good. There's a couple of things we've done internally that way. Single sign-on, topics, things like that we have pulled out for internal branches for some project work. So it's not beyond the big picture. Anything's possible. We could do a 5.6.3 that had a couple of those tidbits.
But what's hilarious is those haven't come up in
That's not in the list.
That's not in the list because there is so much in 5.7 that the remaining stuff is very interdependent.
Yeah.
And,
So I guess in short, not a bad idea in the abstract. Certainly, totally open to that when it helps, but don't want to do twice the work just to have an interim release. So that's the way it looks to me now. Another thing to talk about out of several 5.7 threads and apparently on Redactor as well, or on Reddit as well, Redactor versus TinyMCE. Well, Redactor is the new rich text editor that we're using in 5.7.
yes.
It's very, how do we say? TinyMCE has been a lovely experience. There's not a lot of people doing that when they were doing it. We've used CK Editor, FCK Editor back when we were using it.
HTML area.
We're
if
using
anyone
HTML area.
remembers that.
We moved to TinyMCE, what was that when we first did 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been using it for about 5 years, and it has always taken a lot to integrate with it in a graceful way. And it always feels like, well, here's concrete5 and then there's TinyMCE on top of it, and they get kind of its own modals and whatnot.
Yep.
And so that has been challenging. Its own heft has been challenging. That's a manageable problem, though. I mean, life is full of difficulties. The part that I think we found was the worst is that the code it produces is not amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to.
I mean,
What to say? It is challenging to deal with.
it did not integrate well in the page in the way that we wanted our 5.7 editor to do. I mean, none of these editors are perfect, and in using Redactor, it has some of the same issues as TinyMCE has always had. I don't know how it's impossible to make paragraphs not enter into heading tags, but I'm sure it's a difficult problem to solve.
Sure, it is difficult.
But yeah, I think the biggest problem with it was just really difficult to get it working in the page. And when we started taking a long look at actually integrating inline editing in 5.7. This was like close to a year ago, and there were none of these. This thread has a demo of a beta version of TinyMCE that has much cleaned up code.
Oh yeah,
puts it on
like
puts it on equal footing with Redactor. But like, Redactor is a breath of fresh air to customize. It comes in one JavaScript file. It's much easier, and they're wrestling with their own code quality issues. But even in their non-cleaned up state, it's been so much easier to. It's just built for the web it is today, as opposed to the web where it was 6 years ago.
It's easy to integrate. It's easy to extend. It's a pleasure to use.
Yes.
It doesn't have as many toolbars out of the box out of these various threads. That seems to be the one takeaway. Well, I like the special characters panel.
Yeah.
I like this panel. I like that panel. Yeah, that's not something that we're putting a lot of energy into worrying about.
I can tell you that we've written an official Redactor plugin for concrete5 that we're probably going to revisit since it works in an odd way. But it took me about like a couple hours, so it is much easier to create these plugins for Redactor than it was in TinyMCE. So, not that I would ever say, if you want it, it's open source, make it yourself, but I don't think that it will be that difficult to extend. Just because something isn't there.
You can extend it. It works very nicely. We've already dealt with the licensing issues of including it in concrete5.
Yes.
If TinyMCE4 is truly as awesome as the very Parallel X scrolling demo-y site looks, and the code's all cleaned up, and someone else wants to take the ball and run with it, I don't think that we're like against it philosophically.
No.
It was simply a choice at the time of, well, this one's awesome and what we have is not, so let's go towards what is awesome. So
yeah,
everything always moves forward. That's what I know about that. In other 5.7 discussions, on one very long thread with just kind of personal views, there is some debate around mobile app versus edit UI. Where is the place of mobile?
I haven't seen this thread.
No, you haven't read this, which is why things are still happening. Should the edit interface work in mobile is the question, and are we sacrificing ease of use, or I don't even know what, sacrificing something in order to make it work in mobile, which I don't think it probably does very well at the moment, but we do want it to for 5.7.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Our take is yes, it should work in mobile. First, just for the casual viewer, whether your site works in mobile to a site visitor is really up to your theme. If you are using a theme that you can either use a mobile theme switcher, so there's some type of logic going on to switch out theme A with theme B if you are on a mobile device, or you can go and find a theme that is what is called responsive these days, and that seems to be more of kind of the emerging standardy trend of the web, of as you just resize your browser down, things kind of move around so it always fits. And certainly when we design themes, that's what we shoot to do. I think that's a wise way to go. But that's really up to you, your theme. concrete5 doesn't care. This debate is, should the editing experience work in mobile, and what role is there for apps in the mobile concrete5 land? Our philosophy is that yes, the editing interface should work in mobile. It shouldn't necessarily be mobile-centric or particularly graceful in mobile, but I've certainly had experiences where I'm in an elevator going to an important meeting and I realize, oh my gosh, I really need to change that price on that page, or I want to see if there's a submission to that form or whatever, and
I want to add that user in the dashboard.
Yeah, simple stuff. And when there's modal overlays that don't work very well on mobile, and you're trying to click this X, and it's needlessly frustrating. So if there's stuff that we can do that will make it so,
I know NewsFlow as it is today is just a really bad mobile system.
Please get out of the way. Yeah. So we are definitely thinking about stuff in that vein. Look, if there's easy things that we can do to keep the interface at least functional on mobile, we're doing them. I also totally acknowledge that much of the world uses mobile as a primary device, and that folks are probably building websites on phones in Japan, and that's amazing. I have no experience dealing with that myself, so we are eagerly thinking about that future, but I don't have an immediate plan of Concrete 5.7 now is designed to work primarily on mobile with the web as an afterthought. I don't think we're quite there.
No.
I also see an opportunity for making a Concrete 5 app. We're doing more app development ourselves in-house and have been planning on doing a concrete5 app for quite a long time. I would see that as less of a manage everything in my site and more of a tool for gathering content from the world. So more like the Tumblr experience or the Instagram. I just want to take a picture and get it on my website somehow, or hooking it into key features around content creation and perhaps statistics, keeping on top of has been a form submission, and just making it kind of like a cheat sheet, quick tools app.
Yeah.
Something like that is on our radar to do as well. That's what we think about that. PRB discussion. There's a couple of threads about ways to improve the PRB. The PRB is the peer review board. It drives the tools that Greg Joyce and gang use to approve add-ons and themes. And it works pretty well, to be honest with you. I mean, we've gone through a couple of rebuilds of that over the years. It used to be something that just Andy did by hand, and then we got some systems and we improved those systems. And I'm sure there's opportunities to improve them even more. But
we automate a fair amount of stuff.
We automate a fair amount of stuff. When you submit, there's a lot of information in the developer section about what good standards should be, how you can get through the PRB quickly. There's a video about it. There's rules that Greg constantly revisits. So the content is there if you are willing to read and parse it. There's an active IRC room where if you're sitting there and need some real-time help, there's people who are very helpful in there. The PRB, when you submit your code, it runs a whole bunch of automated checks.
Yeah, like 10 or 11, something like that.
Runs a bunch of automated checks looking for things that we know just don't work, and then gives anyone on the PRB the tool set to vote yay or nay for checks that have to be kind of human-driven, like doesn't have documentation, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of tools there to maximize the energy that is being applied to the PRB. As volunteers have the time and energy to review people's work, there's a fair amount of infrastructure to do that and to best apply that energy.
That's right.
The ideas that are currently being tossed around are: can we do more emails from the PRB? Could the emails include an image of the add-on or more of the description, that kind of stuff? So if someone who's on the PRB, you get these notifications, something new's been submitted to the PRB, but right now it's just the name and the link. Hey, if you showed me more, maybe I would bother to click through. And in that thread, people, what about like a weekly digest of what the hot stuff is and all that? I'm not against any of that. I am not really going to stop working on 5.7 to do that. Strikes me that if the energy is there, that's not really a tool that's getting in the way of people contributing. That's more of a tool to like try to nag people to contribute. Yeah. And that's not really the best use of my time. But totally see the value in revisiting that email. It seems like an easy enough thing to do. The other idea was, can we automatically create a Git repo for new things that are submitted to the PRB? There again, it strikes me as probably not. You can make your own Git repo. If you're working on something that you plan on selling, how's that going to work? That just strikes me as, there's a lot of tools here to enable this communication already. If the energy is there from people wanting to work on it, I don't feel like the system that we have today is getting in the way. By all means, prove to me I'm wrong. I'm perfectly happy to be wrong all the time. But I feel like tools that we have enable the folks who want to contribute pretty well. And as we get into tools to try to convince people to contribute, I start to lose interest. That being said, if you want to be part of the PRB, we'd love to have more help. There's always people cycling through. We were chatting about this just earlier. Julia said, oh yeah, we got some new people in, but there are some people hanging out in there that haven't done a lot. Oh. So if you're looming in the PRB, you gotta do something. You gotta review that stuff. You don't just get to download all the new add-ons and themes for free and not chirp up. So totally recognize that we're asking for volunteers to help and appreciate that. We want to make tools that enable folks who want to throw that energy around to do it. We're not going to be making tools to nag people to meet their volunteer requirements. If you don't have the time or the interest to do it, then don't do it. Make room for someone else, and someone else will jump in there, and things will continue to be approved as they are every week. Last one, which may segue into your demo all right, is the great in-context versus composer debate. Woo! Man, it's always something what we do. So if you have not played with 5.7, you really should. But one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to make it easier to create content. We're trying to make it so someone doesn't need to understand as much about how a system works in order to start making a page. A hello world page is something you should be able to easily do. And that has been a challenge. And some of you may or may not agree with me, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions, and that's great. I have demoed concrete5 to quite a number of people. And consistently when I do so, it's awesome. Thank you very much. No, consistently, you show that you go to a page, you're like, look, I've got this toolbar, you're like, oh, okay, and I see it's type, I want to fix it, and I'm typing, and I approved it, it's done. And there's this silence and this wonder, and this is amazing, this is free, yes it is. Well, how do I add something new? Well, what you have to do is figure out where you want it in the tree. Well, what's a tree? Well, your whole site's a hierarchy. Okay, so what do you mean where I want it? Well, you have to go to the parent of where the subchild's going to be. And like, yeah, this is not rocket science. I mean, I get that I'm not. It's not like I'm saying you have to launch Perl and but
no.
You are definitely. It is a step down. We are definitely going uphill at this point, and it's not a huge hill, but it's not. It's our job to smooth these bumps over.
Yeah.
So that, along with the realization that a lot of pages that people are making are dependent on custom attributes, and so it's not just. While there are times when you're just throwing some text on a page, and that's great, we want to keep that easy, we hear that. There are a lot of other times where you're creating strongly typed content. I'm making a boat page type that's going to show up in my boat database, and I need to have hull size and number of masts and, motorboat or sailboat. I guess it's a sailboat that says masts, but I don't know. But all this stuff in concrete5 usually deal with is custom attributes, and it is frustrating to put someone on an empty page and then have to, stick them in this ad. Oh, you got to tab over to here and add all this stuff, and then it'll be okay. When so much of our competition just kind of gives you this well-designed, graceful form of, well, you're making a new piece of content of type X. Here's what you need for type X. It's kind of it's pretty basic stuff. So our hope with 5.7 was to figure out a way to walk that line. To be able to say, for look, something that is strongly typed, where we know we need to get some information, let's make it easy to give us that information and always be able to edit in a consistent place, so you can have that same, hey, it just works, you didn't even really need to be trained experience that you would expect out of in-context editing, but you got your intern in here and you're trying to add 40,000 of these press release articles, and they each have to have 3 separate fields because it's a press release. It would be nice to not have to hold their hands and show them about how to add the right blocks to the right spot. That's what we're shooting for. Totally get that it's not dialed in yet.
And that's what a lot of Composer pre-5.7 did.
It
made it so that you could... we had attributes against page types come up when you added page types forever, but we never had any way to force you to fill them out, for example, or mark something as required. And we couldn't do that with blocks either. And so we're... we added some of this stuff in Composer, but then it was always kind of weird to have these two completely separate add page experiences based on what
it's weird.
Kind of the mindset of the person. Well, I've got to make a bunch of these, so it's time to get in Composer.
And there is also, there's also that change of kind of. As the labels imply, the editing versus composing experience, right? If I go to WordPress, or I'm running my WordPress blog, and I start writing, there's a sense more that, well, I'm composing something new. It's auto-saving, I'm in the back end, and, I know until I hit publish up here, it's not going to the front end. Whereas with concrete5, you definitely do have, even I, who am pretty familiar with the system, if I'm working on something on concrete5.org, I'll change permissions in addition to always using the preview button, or I'll hide it under a different page node.
Yeah, because you've added that page in the tree.
It just feels weird. It just feels super sketchy. This could go live very easily.
Yeah.
So that idea of sometimes I want to compose something centrally and decide when and where I'm going to publish it. Other times I just want to add a page and start editing. Both are true. And we can be nice to each other about this. We can both can be okay. We can find a way to make everybody happy, I'm sure. And so that's what we're trying to do now. And so we've got some different ideas. They're not in the demo that we've got today. Much of it actually revolves around just simple labeling and UI changes to make it easier to switch back and forth. The thing that I keep bringing up around the office, if you have been around digital music for a while, you'll remember Reason, which was a very cute. I don't even know what market it served. I mean, you would certainly not use Reason in a studio.
No,
but all sorts of little hipster kids did.
Yeah.
And what it would basically do is it was map a rack. If you know anything about recording stuff, you get these kind of standard racks, and you get these devices you put in. Here's my reverb box. Here's my synthesizer. Here's my sequencer, and you could get these devices, these plugins, I guess, I forget what they call them, and you could arrange the rack the way you wanted. In front of any of these devices, you're dealing with the actual, what we would consider in context editing. You're changing the volume or the amount. You're tweaking presentational levels. On the back of any of these devices in a real studio, you've got a bunch of 1/4-inch cables that go in and out. And this is kind of how it works, what the guts are doing to enable everything to behave to each other. It's under the hood, if you will. And what Reason did, brilliantly, which no one had done at the time, was they just created a visual interface that directly mapped the real world for it. So everybody else let you kind of drag these into some workspace, and you could draw lines between them, and you had to really, you had to be an engineer to understand what you were doing.
Oh, yeah, no.
This just gave you the rack, and there was actually a button that let you flip it, and it just went like, zoop, and then you could pull cables in and out, and it was cool. Cute and cool at the same time. It gets across this difficult concept of, look, there are things that need to happen behind the scene to make all this stuff work together, and then there's things that you can do in front of the scenes to actually make it sound the way you want. That's kind of the idea that we're shooting for with Composer. For a page, for that boat page I'm describing, there are some variables. There is the boat, the hull length, the number of masts. Is it a boat or is it not a boat, or whatever those are. We want it so you can, let me change those and always know I'm changing them. Okay, now let me edit the boat description. And that kind of experience. So I don't think that we're there yet, but that is the goal. If that helps at all. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to show something?
Sure.
You said you want to show Corbin's new drag and droppy stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll do jazz hands while you go over to the show.
You got a transition.
You got a transition?
All right.
Probably doesn't look too different from the last 5.7 demo. Again, all this stuff is in the public 5.7.0 WIP, which stands for Work in Progress branch. And what I wanted to show off today was some of the changes, the beginnings of the changes that Franz was talking about just now with the Composer interface and stuff like that. Just very basic stuff, very small. Haven't really had much time to work on that. But again, like Franz was saying, there's not too much that needs to happen with that we think. It's just labeling and some dialing in of the transitions and interface. And then more important, I wanted to show part of that progress on that particular Git issue, which was really dialing in kind of the some of the UI around dragging and dropping blocks in edit mode. So to begin with that, if we click edit mode here, you can see we've also dialed in some of the edit mode actual areas. Now, if I mouse over, you probably haven't seen this front. If you mouse over blocks, the area stays active down there.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And what a difference that makes, actually.
Less blinky.
And we have dialed in some of the transitions here to make them feel a little less blinky as well. I have tweaked some of the outlines on this, and we may go back to this because that wasn't how our comps originally worked, but when you start using layouts, some of these outlines start to intersect in really odd ways. So trying to minimize that has led to trying to make these a little less obtrusive, these outlines, and we're still working on that. But you can kind of see this feels a lot more polished in general. Like the whole thing, the entire area works that way. And then you can see I've got this drag and drop, which we've had for a while. And if I drag this, I get a little swatch. It's got some physics to it.
Oh, like it's hanging off of your mouth.
I know, right?
Hey, little buddy.
Yeah, so right out of the bat, you can see you can kind of, it's hard to see on this monitor, but you can kind of see the little gray kit areas, but they're outline based, so they're not pushing stuff around. They are much less, this used to have to interact with the mouse, which was one of the annoyances of the jQuery UI system.
Now it's the whole block. Nice.
Now it's just much more, it's much more forgiving. And if I drop it here, it kind of goes back. It doesn't feel quite as, did I do something? No, I didn't. It went back, so I try it again.
That's great.
To get it down in there. We've got some issues with this stuff, so I'm just going to reload between doing this stuff. But it is saving and doing all that stuff. If I move this guy up here and come back to this, I've got my empty area, which I can now actually click on the entire empty area to interact with, which is nice. And if I go into this guy over here, and I drag this over this way, you can see the entire area highlights in this way and pops up with my block dialog. I'm not going to do that right at the moment. If I take this guy and I drag him down there, he's looking good. That looks kind of weird, but that's your choice for having made it look so silly. And yeah, in general, this is looking really solid. There's a lot of JavaScript. There's kind of some JavaScript and style consolidation we still need to do, but in general, it's much friendlier and nice job, Corbin.
Yeah, good job, Corbin. That looks better.
Yes. And finally, to touch on what Franz was saying before, one little thing that we have made in here, a little change that we have made in a sort of experimental attempt to kind of figure out the to sort of get this composer issue under control, we have added a setting at the page type level that determines whether this thing will launch in Composer or not. So you can see that right here. And by default, I have made it so that the page type, which is just a super basic page, will not launch in Composer, and the block entry page will.
There you go.
So if I come here, I click on page, I'm just in edit mode. Just make that change right there. I can start editing blocks. I can do all sorts of stuff right then and there. And then if I wanted to have a log entry page, when it launches, I get dumped into the blog page, so I can immediately exit Composer mode. We are still working on the verbiage to these things, to these buttons down here. It's going to auto-save, it's going to do all this stuff. And but I can immediately jump into editing in the actual interface if that's something that I want to do. And then if I want to jump back to Composer, I am able to do that as well. And we're going to continue to make this menu sort of default to Composer when you click on it, because there's really no need to have a menu with nothing open. And I think dialing in some of those interactions is going to go a long way toward making the thing taking it the last 10% and really making it feel cohesive and allaying a lot of people's concerns about the add page interface sort of not measuring it.
Nice.
And that, I believe, is what we've got in here.
Good job. Thanks, Andy. Oh, let's just parse out a couple of questions from IRC. Looks like I lost my connection a bit ago, and now I'm digging through lengthy thread. Hi-yo.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of text.
No, I got some for you here. Question. Any plans for dealing with the depreciated Xed MySQL functions in PHP 5.5 plus, i.e. the PDO, MySQL, and MySQLi, with PDO being the main PHP focus in the future?
Right now we use ADODB,
Boom!
So we will probably do what they do.
There you go. I think Corbin probably answered that one too. Question for Totally Random. Is there any chance the core team accepts quite soon all of the translation related pull requests on GitHub?
Well, we have accepted a whole bunch in the last week, so I don't feel like there's been too much dragging of feet on that.
Localizer's waiting for us, so yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, probably we'll take a look at that. Certainly get some feedback on that.
Yep. If you have posted questions in here you can see that I am scrolling poorly. You might consider reposting them. I'll just look down here at the bottom. Fix the echo. Yes, turns out the microphone that we purchased in hopes of having better audio sucks. So, try again next week. I think it's onwards and upwards to lapel mics.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? We go out in the field and stuff. Dashboard button is something that none of my clients get. I think something more like the Windows 8 menu would make those clients happier. I don't know about that. I do think that the icons
Yes,
for our...
I was just going to say that. Those are, I mean, they were...
need love.
Yeah.
In 5.7, there's an add page panel and a dashboard panel.
Yeah.
And
they're on the right-hand side.
They're on the right-hand side.
Are
and I
almost
definitely think that
useless
Robert was low on coffee when those happened. So I think those will get revisited.
I appreciate the fact that he chose Bootstrap icons for those because it made it easy to put them in there.
Yeah.
But we should probably go the extra mile with the custom icon.
I'm sure he would agree.
Yeah.
In 5.7, with the new way requests are processed, will it be entirely backwards compatible?
No, probably not.
There you go.
Actually, I'll go you one further, and I will say that it will not be, and there will be some intervention involved in almost every case of a site that uses that currently uses complex overrides. You're gonna have to do some tweaking.
I think that's it.
Sweet.
Booyah. All right. Well, apologies again for the audio being less than ideal. I hear there's an exciting echo.
Oh, wow.
So
that's just because
sweet.
we're broadcasting. You can't tell, but we're broadcasting in a massive dome today.
Yeah.
There's like several thousand people out there. They're just really quiet.
They just don't like anything that we say, so there's no applause. Yeah, we're gonna keep jamming on the audio, guys. So thanks for bearing with us, and it's been totally random.